Hey everyone, in the world of cybersecurity, it feels like we're just drowning in data about attacks, right? It's a constant flood. But how do we actually connect the dots? How does a team on one side of the world learn from an attack happening on the other? Well, today, we're diving into the framework that created a universal language for all of us, MITRE ATT&CK.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to break down what MIT attack actually is. Then we'll get into its core building blocks, tactics, and techniques. We'll see how those create the famous attack matrix, look at a real-world example with the Windows matrix, and finally, we'll see how this whole thing has become an absolute must-have for modern cyber defense.
All right, so let's start with the basic problem it's trying to solve. For any security team out there, the sheer number and variety of cyber attacks can just feel, well, chaotic. It's overwhelming. Without some kind of shared map, every single incident feels like a brand new, unique fire to put out. The whole point here is to find a way to move from that chaos to a place of clarity. I want you to put yourself in the shoes of a security analyst for a second. An alarm just blared, an attacker is in your network. What are they trying to do? What's their next step? And maybe most importantly, how do you explain what's happening to the rest of your team in a way that everyone instantly understands? That is the fundamental challenge. And that's where MIT ATT&CK comes in. The best way to think about it is like the ultimate shared playbook for cybersecurity. This isn't just theory, okay? It's a living, breathing knowledge base built from watching actual attacks happen out in the wild. It gives everybody, from the analyst on the front lines to the CIO, a common vocabulary to describe exactly what the bad guys are doing. Now, to really get a handle on this playbook, you've got to learn the language first. And it's all built on two simple but powerful concepts, tactics and techniques. These two things are the absolute heart and soul of the ATT&CK framework.
First up, we have the tactic. A tactic is simply the why. It's the attacker's immediate goal. So let's use an analogy. If a burglar is trying to get into your house, their tactic, their why, is just gain entry. Simple as that. And then you've got the technique. The technique is the how. How is the attacker going to achieve that goal? So for our burglar, the techniques might be picking the lock, or maybe breaking a window, or even using a stolen key. It's the specific method they choose to get the job done. And that is the relationship you have to remember. The tactic is the goal, like initial access, which just means getting that first foothold inside a network. The technique is the method they use to do it, like phishing, sending a sneaky email to try and steal a password. One is the why, the other is the how. Okay, so we've got these individual pieces of an attack, but where the real power comes out to play is when you see how they all fit together. And for that, we have this brilliant visual tool called the ATT&CK matrix. The way the matrix organizes everything is just genius. You see the tactics laid out across the top as columns, and they generally follow the logical steps of an attack, from left to right. Then, underneath each of those tactic columns, you have a list of all the known techniques that attackers use to achieve that specific goal. It's basically a complete map of enemy moves. I know this can all feel a little bit abstract, so let's make it way more concrete. We're going to zoom in on a real-world example that is super important for most companies out there, the Windows matrix. So the Windows matrix is basically a specialized filter within the bigger enterprise framework. What it does is it catalogs all the techniques that we know are used to specifically target computers running Microsoft Windows. And since, let's be real, countless businesses run on Windows, this gives defenders an incredibly detailed and focused map of the threats that are most relevant to their specific environment. And this kind of reveals the real magic of the framework. Because even though ATT&CK is built by watching attackers, its true value, its whole purpose, is for the defenders. It's not just an attacker's playbook. It's the blueprint for building a smarter, more proactive defense. And this proactive defense works in this really cool continuous cycle. So step 1, defenders use the matrix to identify the threats most likely to come after them. Step 2, they build their shield, putting in specific controls and mitigations to stop those techniques. And step 3, they learn from the enemy, using what's called cyber threat intelligence, or CTI, to understand exactly who is attacking them and what tools they're using. The framework is just jam-packed with this kind of defensive gold. It actually details specific mitigations and even tells you what data sources you need to collect to detect each technique. And it directly links those techniques to real-world CTI, giving you intel on specific adversary groups and their campaigns. It connects the dots from an abstract technique
to a real named threat.
So after looking at all these pieces, what's the one big takeaway? What's the single biggest reason the MIT ATT&CK Framework has become a global standard? Why does it really truly matter?
It's this. It boils down to one thing. ATTK provides a single common language for the entire cybersecurity community. For the first time ever, a security team in London can use the exact same vocabulary as a team in Tokyo to describe the very same attack. And that shared understanding, that's what makes global collaboration possible, and that's how we all build a stronger collective defense. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. The ATT&CK framework is a living map. It's constantly being updated with the latest threats. It's our best picture of what's happening right now. But we all know attackers never, ever stand still. So the real question is, as we keep mapping their behavior, what new things are waiting for us just over the horizon? Thanks for tuning in.